We are going to be making scrolls, savoury scrolls and sweet scrolls. Now, if you were here at school in a pair, one of you would do the savoury and one of you would do the sweet. But because I'm here on my lonesome, I'm doing both. So there's quite a few skills. There's some knife skills, cutting up ingredients. There's also rubbing in method, and I'll explain that. And also creaming butter and sugar, but you know, that's not too much of a skill at the moment. So let's get started. So we have our ingredients. Now, we have them in 3 sections because the first section is the actual scone making. So we have 2 cups of self-raising flour, 20 grams of butter and 3/4 of a cup of milk. So there you can see the flour, 20 grams of butter, 3/4 of a cup of milk. The second section is the butterscotch. Well, we make it sort of into, it tastes like butterscotch once it's cooked. We have 50 grams of butter, half a cup of brown sugar and half a teaspoon of cinnamon. Then the savoury scrolls, they have tomato paste, so if you've only got tomato sauce, that's fine. Any type of cheese, we have Tasty here, but any type of cheese that you've got, half an onion, doesn't matter if it's a red one or a white one, or even a spring onion. A piece of capsicum, you can put that in, or you don't have to. You can put what other veggies you've got. You can grate some carrot, or you could put some mushies in, it's up to you. And then it should be ham, but I've only got bacon, so that's what I'm using. Okie dokie, let's get started. So my oven has been put on at 200 degrees Celsius. So my oven's here. I've got my 2 baking trays ready with baking paper. And then I'm going to start. So I'm going to sieve the flour into a bowl. I think Mrs. Blocher could have used a bigger bowl, but I'll get by. My other ones, I've used them just before for another demonstration. So we sieved our flour, and there's 2 reasons we do that. To get any goobies that might have been in the flour. When I was growing up, there were a lot of goobies. They were called little bugs called weevils, and also the flour processing wasn't very good, so there were a lot of things we had to sieve out. These days, the flour's pretty pure, but that's okay. Now, just on the edge of my chopping board, I'm just going to cut the butter into littler pieces so it's easy to rub in. So this is called rubbing in. So it's rub and lift, rub and lift. And while we're rubbing and lifting, we are also adding air. So we sift to get rid of goobies, and we sift to incorporate air, and then we lift and rub, lift and rub, lift and rub. Now to shake the bowl, and the bits that are big come to the top, which is handy, and we know they have not been rubbed in properly yet. So I'll get back to you in a minute. So all of that butter has been incorporated into that flour. Then I'm just going to gradually add the flour. I made a little well in the middle, and I'm using a bread and butter knife because that is the best thing to mix it with. It increases your surface area, and you can do a cutting motion. Getting there. Last bit. Takes a little bit of time, but it's worth it. Now, I'm going to get my hand in there and just finish mixing. Of course, my hands were washed well before I started, so that's all right. I might just add a little bit more milk, but I might do that in a second. But it's not quite right. Now, our second part, which is creaming the butter. So now I've put it in the microwave and I've just softened it, maybe a little bit too much. It's gone a little bit runny, but that's okay. We add our brown sugar which is stuck, so I'll... Remember, if you don't have these cups at home, any kind of cup will do, as long as you're consistent in the recipe. If you have 1/4 cup of flour, then you have 1/4 cup of sugar. All the same things should be. So we're just going to make this, mix it around and do a bit of creaming. So the brown sugar can sometimes get a bit lumpy. So you just make sure you incorporate all the butter into the sugar, which is pretty much there. Okay, so that's the second part. Okay, our third part is making the savoury part. So we're going to cut off the rind. As you know, we don't use that. And if, as I said before, if my dog was here, I would cook it up for him, because he loves it. Only a little bit, because it's not very good for his heart. Now, then I'm going to line these up once again. Now, if you don't have bacon or eat bacon, you could always put some chicken, some cold lamb, whatever you like, really. So that's our bacon done. And our capsicum, now hold it with the shiny bit down. If you do it that big, your knife will slip. So shiny bit down into long strips. Remember, I'm curling my fingers away so I don't cut them. And then we're going to rock the knife and cut them. Oops. Last bits are a bit curly, so they're a bit hard to do. Now our onion, we cut there, get rid of the goobies. If you have a look, I'm putting all my goobies into a cup, so that all I have to do is take that over to the bin and put it in. Now, with my onion, it's 1/4, so it's a bit hard to keep together, but I don't like big chunks of onion, so I'm going to dice it. So I cut this way first, and then I turn it and I cut this way. There we go. There's our ingredients. I'll get back to you with how we put it all together. So as you can see, I've already taken out half of this, because one half is going to be for the savoury, one for the sweet. But just pretend I hadn't. So I have mixed it all together with my milk. I put it on some self-raising flour. And what I'm going to do is very basic kneading, just to make it smooth. Now if it gets a bit sticky, add a bit more flour. So that's about all with scones. You don't really want them to be... So you push down and then you roll. Turn it sideways, because you want a rectangle. You want it longer one side. So we're nearly there. Now I'm just going to check it's not sticking on the bottom. I'm going to put a bit more flour, and I'm going to put a little bit more flour on my rolling pin. Now we're going to try and make it as rectangular as we possibly can, but if you can't, that's all right. So I know that bit's a bit thicker, so I'll roll that side. And we're there, easy. So now you can see I've got two of them. So on this one I'm going to put, no actually, I'll go over this side. This one I'm going to put my butter and my sugar and cinnamon and spread it out. Doesn't want to spread out today, must be too cold for it. Oh, hurry up. So you spread that out as best you can. Just doesn't want to cooperate. Okay, we're nearly there. And we leave this edge clear. So all we do is we start rolling. Get the flour off. We start rolling, rolling, talking. Okay, I'll leave that one there. The next one is my savoury one. So I need to get my knife and put my tomato sauce, or this is tomato paste. As evenly as you can. Okay, then you can put whatever you like next. I'm going to put my bacon. Try and get it as even as you can. Then I'm going to put my capsicum and my onion. Looking good, isn't it? Then we're going to put the cheese. If I was at home, I'd probably put a bit more cheese. Now the same with this one. We're going to start rolling and rolling. Now, we have my trays ready from before. We have my knife, and I'm just going to start now, you place them. I want to put the two ends in the middle because they're the yucky ones. Now you can put them fairly close because they like to push each other up. So tuck the ends inside. See that end there? Oh, didn't cut it through all the way properly. Give it a little room for spreading, but not too much. And that little one can go in there too. So that's the sweet one. I'll do exactly the same with the savoury one. So here we have the end product. Now, unfortunately, some of the butterscotch sauce sort of runs out, but I just get a knife and sort of put it on the top. Or you can cook this in a round tin. I know at home I have cooked it in a round tin, and then all the juices sort of stay in the tin. But that's the sweet ones done, and then the savoury, yum. So they have kept their shape. You can see they're in a scroll. They look rather delicious. So I think I did a good job. What do you reckon?